Anna Eleanor Roosevelt Halsted was the only daughter and eldest child of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, and his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt. Born into one of America's most prominent political families, her life was marked by the intense scrutiny of public life, the burdens of familial expectations, and her own determined efforts to carve out a path of independence and purpose. From her early years in a household filled with tension and affection to her roles as a journalist, White House aide, and advocate for social causes, Anna's story reflects the personal costs and quiet triumphs of living in the shadow of historical giants. Her journey was one of resilience, where she balanced the demands of family loyalty with her aspirations for a meaningful career, all while navigating the emotional complexities of love, loss, and legacy. Anna came into the world on May 3, 1906 in New York City, at a time when the United States was transitioning from the excesses of the Gilded Age into a period of progressive reforms and rapid modernization. The early 20th century saw the rise of skyscrapers in urban centers, the influx of millions of immigrants seeking new opportunities, and the growing push for women's rights and labor protections. The Roosevelt family, with its deep roots in Dutch-American aristocracy, represented a blend of old-world privilege and forward-thinking ideals. Franklin, her father, was already showing signs of his charismatic leadership, having entered politics after a privileged upbringing and education at Harvard and Columbia. Eleanor, her mother, came from a similarly elite background, but carried the scars of a difficult childhood, marked by the early deaths of her parents and a sense of inadequacy fostered by her critical relatives. The couple's marriage in 1905 had been a union of two branches of the Roosevelt family, celebrated in high society, but soon tested by underlying strains. The family home in Hyde Park, New York, known as Springwood, was a sprawling estate overlooking the Hudson River, filled with a sense of manicured gardens and the sounds of lively gatherings. Yet for young Anna, it was also a place of subtle conflicts. Her paternal grandmother, Sarah Delano Roosevelt, wielded enormous influence over the household. Sarah, a strong-willed widow who had devoted her life to her only son Franklin, often clashed with Eleanor, whom she viewed as insufficiently equipped to manage the family's social standing. Sarah's interventions extended to child-rearing decisions, home decorations, and even financial matters, creating an atmosphere where Eleanor felt marginalized. Anna, as the firstborn, absorbed these dynamics from an early age. She witnessed her mother's quiet frustrations and her father's diplomatic efforts to maintain peace. Love was present. Franklin was an affectionate father, delighting in storytelling and outdoor adventures with his children, but it was complicated by these power struggles. The children, including Anna's four younger brothers, James, Elliot, Franklin Jr., and John, grew up understanding that their family's public image was paramount, a lesson that would shape Anna's approach to her own life. Anna's early childhood was a mix of enchantment and eccentricity, reflective of the era's evolving ideas about health and parenting. In their New York City townhouse on East 36th Street, Eleanor, influenced by contemporary beliefs in the benefits of fresh air for infants, devised an unusual setup for Anna's naps. She constructed a wire cage that protruded from a window, allowing the baby to sleep outdoors while protected from the dangers of the street below. This odd contraption, suspended high above the sidewalk, drew curious glances from passers-by and symbolized the blend of innovation and tradition in the Roosevelt household. As Anna grew, she attended private schools that catered to the elite, where she learned etiquette, languages, and academics in an environment designed to prepare young women for roles in society. However, the family's life took a dramatic turn in 1921 when Franklin contracted polio during a vacation at Campobello Island. At just 15 years old, Anna watched as her vibrant father was struck down by the illness, which left him paralyzed from the waist down. The ordeal tested the family's unity. Eleanor stepped up to support Franklin's recovery and political ambitions, traveling extensively and building her own network of influence. Anna observed this shift, seeing her mother evolve from a reserved society wife into a confident advocate for social issues. These experiences planted seeds of empathy and determination in Anna, fostering a desire to escape the confining roles assigned to women of her class, while instilling a profound sense of responsibility toward her family. By the time Anna reached young adulthood, the pressures of her family's prominence weighed heavily on her. After completing her education at Miss Chapin's school in New York in 1924, she enrolled in a short course in forestry at Cornell University, an unconventional choice for a woman in the 1920s. Forestry studies appealed to her love of nature, perhaps inherited from family outings in the Hudson Valley, and represented a brief rebellion against the expected path of debutante balls and advantageous marriages. However, societal and familial expectations soon pulled her back. In 1926, at the age of 20, Anna married Curtis Bean Dahl, a successful stockbroker from a respectable family. The wedding took place in Hyde Park, a grand affair attended by family and friends, marking what seemed like a step toward stability and independence. The couple moved into their own home, away from the domineering presence of Sarah, and began building a family. Their first child, Anna Eleanor Dahl, affectionately called Sisty, arrived in March 1927, followed by son Curtis Roosevelt Dahl, known as Buzzy, in April 1930. For a time, life appeared idyllic: family picnics, social engagements, and the comforts of upper-class living. Yet beneath the surface, cracks formed. The stock market crash of 1929 exacerbated financial tensions, and personal incompatibilities grew evident. Curtis's conservative views clashed with Anna's emerging progressive leanings, influenced by her parents' New Deal philosophies. By 1934, the marriage had deteriorated, leading to a divorce that was amicable but emotionally draining. As a single mother in her late 20s, Anna faced the challenges of raising two young children while redefining her place in the world. This transition coincided with her father's ascension to the presidency in 1933, drawing Anna into the orbit of the White House. With Franklin now leading the nation through the Great Depression, the family relocated to Washington, D.C., where Anna and her children eventually joined them. This period ignited Anna's professional ambitions. She turned to writing, channeling her experiences as a mother into creative outlets. In the early 1930s, she authored two children's books: Scamper, a whimsical story about a playful puppy, and its sequel, Scamper's Christmas, which captured the holiday spirit through animal adventures. These books, illustrated with charming drawings, revealed Anna's talent for storytelling and her ability to find joy amid uncertainty. Her career expanded into journalism and broadcasting. From 1932 to 1934, she served as an associate editor for Babies Just Babies, a magazine focused on infant care and family life, where she contributed articles on parenting tips and child development. She also hosted a radio program sponsored by Best & Company, a department store, discussing topics like home management and women's roles in society. Her voice, warm and engaging, resonated with listeners, blending personal anecdotes with practical advice. Additionally, Anna wrote pieces for Liberty Magazine, a popular periodical, sharpening her skills in accessible, insightful prose that appealed to a broad audience. Personal life, however, remained a source of both joy and upheaval. In 1935, Anna met Clarence John Bettiger, a seasoned journalist, during one of her father's campaign train tours. Their connection was immediate, sparked by shared interests in writing and politics. They married in January 1935 in a quiet ceremony that contrasted with her first wedding. The couple moved to Seattle, Washington, where John was appointed publisher of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer by media mogul William Randolph Hearst, a position facilitated by Franklin's influence. Anna embraced this new chapter, becoming associate editor of the Women's Pages. Her columns addressed everyday concerns, fashion, recipes, and social issues, with a compassionate touch often drawing from her own life as a mother and wife. In March 1939, they welcomed their son John Roosevelt Boediger, completing their blended family. From 1936 to 1943, Anna juggled her roles with grace, editing content, writing features, and managing household duties. She found fulfillment in journalism, using her platform to highlight women's contributions to society and advocate for progressive causes. When World War II intensified, John felt compelled to contribute more directly. In 1943, he enlisted in the U.S. Army as a captain, leaving Anna to take over as executive editor. Under her leadership, the newspaper navigated wartime censorship, paper shortages, and shifting public sentiments, maintaining its reputation for balanced reporting. The war's demands soon summoned Anna back to Washington. By 1944, Franklin's health had deteriorated significantly, worn down by the stresses of leading the nation through global conflict. Eleanor, committed to her own wartime travels and advocacy work, was often absent from the White House. At her father's request, Anna moved in with young John, assuming the roles of unofficial secretary, hostess, and caregiver. Her days were filled with practical tasks, sorting through mountains of correspondence from citizens and dignitaries, arranging appointments with cabinet members and foreign envoys, and even assisting in drafting presidential speeches. She became a familiar figure in the White House corridors, interacting with influential personalities such as Frances Perkins, the trailblazing Secretary of Labor, and the first woman in a U.S. cabinet position. Anna also hosted visiting royalty, including King George VI and Queen Elizabeth of Great Britain in 1939, and Crown Prince Olav and Princess Martha of Norway during their exile. These encounters broadened her worldview, exposing her to international diplomacy and cultural exchanges. Yet her deepest concern was her father's well-being. Noticing his increasing fatigue and pallor, Anna insisted he consult a cardiologist, leading to a private diagnosis of congestive heart failure. She kept this secret from the rest of the family, shouldering the anxiety alone while ensuring Franklin adhered to rest and dietary restrictions as much as possible amid his grueling schedule. One of the most defining moments of Anna's White House years occurred in February 1945, when she accompanied her father to the Yalta Conference in Crimea. This historic summit brought together Franklin, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and Soviet leader Joseph Stalin to negotiate the post-war reorganization of Europe, including the division of Germany and the establishment of the United Nations framework. For Anna, the trip was deeply personal. She had lobbied to join as his aide, convinced that her presence would help protect his fragile health better than anyone else. Accompanying her were Sarah Churchill, Winston's daughter, and Kathy Harriman, daughter of the U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union. The three women formed an informal support network amid the high-stakes discussions, sharing moments of levity in the tense atmosphere of the Levadia Palace. Anna's duties included monitoring Franklin's meals, encouraging naps, and handling logistical details. The conference was exhausting, with long sessions and frigid conditions exacerbating her father's condition. Despite the strain, it produced key agreements that shaped the Cold War era. Tragically, it proved to be Franklin's final major diplomatic endeavor. On April 12, 1945, while at his retreat in Warm Springs, Georgia, he suffered a massive cerebral hemorrhage and died at the age of 63. The loss of her father plunged Anna into profound grief, compounded by a painful family revelation. It fell to her to inform Eleanor that Franklin had been in the company of Lucy Mercer Rutherford, his former love and longtime companion, at the moment of his death. Moreover, Anna confessed that the affair, which had begun during the World War I and led to a near divorce in 1918, had persisted over the years, concealed by a close circle that included Anna herself. This disclosure devastated Eleanor, who felt doubly betrayed, not only by her husband, but by her daughter, for withholding the truth. The mother-daughter relationship, already tested by years of subtle rivalries and differing personalities, entered a period of estrangement. Letters between them grew sparse, and emotional distance lingered for months. However, in a moment of unexpected tenderness, Anna later shared a private letter from Lucy to Eleanor, expressing deep sorrow and fond recollections of Franklin's kindness. This gesture offered a glimpse into the affair's human dimensions, revealing layers of affection and regret that complicated the narrative of infidelity. In the aftermath of Franklin's death, Anna's life entered a turbulent phase. With the president's passing, her favoritism toward John Bettiger evaporated, leading to professional conflicts. John resigned from the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, and the couple sought a fresh start by purchasing a small weekly newspaper in Phoenix, Arizona. They rebranded it as the Arizona Times and expanded it into a daily publication in May 1947, infusing it with progressive editorial content that championed labor rights, civil liberties, and New Deal-inspired policies. In the conservative political climate of post-war Arizona, this approach alienated advertisers and readers, resulting in financial ruin. The venture bankrupted the family, straining their marriage to the breaking point. By 1949, Anna and John divorced, a separation marked by mutual respect but deep sadness. The following year, in 1950, John, battling severe depression exacerbated by career setbacks and personal losses, took his own life. Anna was left heartbroken, grappling with guilt and the challenges of single parenthood once more. Amid this despair, Anna turned to her mother for support, and their collaboration helped mend old wounds. In 1949, they launched the Eleanor and Anna Roosevelt program, a daily radio show broadcast 5 days a week. The program featured discussions on current events, women's issues, and personal reflections, drawing on their unique perspectives as insiders to American history. Eleanor also assisted Anna financially, helping to settle debts from the newspaper failure. This partnership not only provided income, but also strengthened their bond, allowing them to share vulnerabilities and triumphs publicly. Anna continued her writing, editing The Woman magazine, which focused on female empowerment and societal roles. She also serialized My Life with FDR in a national publication, offering intimate insights into White House life, from daily routines to pivotal decisions, humanizing her father's presidency for readers. Stability returned in 1952 when Anna married Dr. James Addison Halsted, a respected physician specializing in internal medicine. Their union brought a sense of calm and companionship, free from the dramas of her previous marriages. In 1958, the couple relocated to Iran, where James was invited to help establish the Pahlavi University Medical School in Shiraz. Anna immersed herself in this international adventure, taking on responsibilities in public relations and administration. She organized community health programs, facilitated cultural exchanges between American and Iranian staff, and promoted the school's mission to modernize medical education in the region. This chapter, lasting several years, highlighted Anna's adaptability and her ability to apply her communication skills to global contexts, bridging divides through empathy and organization. Upon returning to the United States in the early 1960s, Anna continued her work in medical public relations, collaborating with hospitals and health organizations to raise awareness about public health initiatives. Anna's dedication to public service mirrored the activism of her parents, extending their legacy into new arenas. In October 1963, President John F. Kennedy appointed her to the Citizens Advisory Council on the Status of Women, a body tasked with examining gender inequalities in employment, education, and legal rights. That same year, she was named Vice Chair of the President's Commission for the Observance of Human Rights Year, focusing on promoting civil liberties and international human rights standards. Anna also served on the boards of organizations such as Americans for Democratic Action, a liberal advocacy group, the United Nations Association of the United States, supporting global cooperation, and the Eleanor Roosevelt Memorial Foundation, which honored her mother's contributions to humanitarian causes. Through these roles, she championed issues like women's equality, racial justice, and peace initiatives, often speaking at events and writing op-eds to mobilize public support. Her efforts were grounded in personal conviction, shaped by witnessing her parents' fights against economic injustice and fascism. Anna's life was rich with emotional nuances that revealed her inner strength and vulnerabilities. Her preserved diary from 1925, written during her late teens, captures the introspective thoughts of a young woman navigating family pressures and self-discovery, with entries pondering love, ambition, and the weight of her surname. The extensive correspondence with Eleanor, spanning over 800 letters, chronicles their evolving relationship, from advisory notes during Anna's divorces to shared mourning after family deaths. One particularly poignant episode occurred in 1949 when Anna contracted coccidiomycosis, or valley fever, a severe fungal infection common in the Arizona desert. The illness left her bedridden for months, compounding her emotional lows from the newspaper collapse and impending divorce, serving as a metaphor for the physical toll of her life's battles. These personal stories portray Anna not as a peripheral figure in history, but as a deeply human one, a woman who entertained world leaders, yet wept over broken relationships, who fought for societal progress while mending her own heart. Controversies inevitably arose from Anna's proximity to power, adding layers of complexity to her legacy. Her involvement in facilitating Franklin's discreet meetings with Lucy Mercer Rutherford, such as arranging private dinners at the White House during Eleanor's absences, has sparked historical debates about loyalty and ethics. Some scholars interpret these actions as a daughter's protective devotion to her ailing father, prioritizing his emotional well-being amid wartime stresses. Others see them as a complicit betrayal of her mother, perpetuating a deception that undermined family trust. The decision to bring Anna to Yalta instead of Eleanor also stirred speculation. Franklin reportedly wished to avoid the fuss of including his wife. Citing protocol but underlying personal dynamics likely played a role, Anna later acknowledged that this choice probably hurt Eleanor, reflecting on the nuances of their family arrangements. Additionally, the Arizona Times experiment drew criticism for its liberal editorial stance in a staunchly conservative state, with detractors questioning Anna's political acumen and accusing the paper of alienating its audience. These controversies underscore Anna's multifaceted character, a devoted family member entangled in moral ambiguities, a progressive thinker navigating ideological clashes. The broader impact of Anna's life extends well into contemporary times, influencing cultural, political, and social spheres. Her pioneering work in journalism helped elevate women's voices in media during an era when female editors were rare, paving the way for greater gender diversity in newsrooms and encouraging reporting on domestic and social issues. By sustaining her father's presidency through its waning months, Anna indirectly contributed to key historical outcomes, such as the foundations of the United Nations, which Eleanor later advanced as a delegate. Her advocacy for human rights and women's status built upon the Roosevelt tradition, inspiring subsequent generations of activists in movements for civil rights, feminism, and international diplomacy. From Anna, we glean valuable lessons about the human side of history, the private struggles that fuel public achievements, the paradoxes of love and obligation that define relationships, and the resilience required to forge ahead despite adversity. In today's divided world, her example urges us to approach progress with empathy, recognizing that true change often emerges from understanding personal stories. Anna Roosevelt Halsted's later years were defined by a quieter form of fulfillment. In 1971, she and James retired to a modest cottage in Hillsdale, New York, where she continued her involvement in charitable boards and community activities. Despite her advancing age, Anna remained engaged, attending meetings and corresponding with colleagues until health issues intervened. In 1975, at the age of 69, she succumbed to throat cancer at Montefiore Hospital in the Bronx, New York. Her burial at St. James Episcopal Churchyard in Hyde Park placed her alongside her parents, symbolizing the enduring connections of their shared legacy. Through all her trials and accomplishments, Anna exemplified the delicate balance of strength and sensitivity, reminding us that the most profound impacts often come from those who endure with quiet grace, their compassion echoing through time.